Hello, my name is the Radical Kendrick Alma, part of the Puerto Rican family, and we're here drinking at Moe's. Salud.
All right, everybody, taking time out before we get this show started. I want to thank Reaper Apparel for having Drinkin' Mo's be a brand ambassador for their clothing line. They got good stuff. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got beanies, they got lots of great stuff, encouraging everybody to break out of their comfort zone, live their best self, and hey, it's something I try to live every day. Now, be sure when you go and you're finishing filling out your order, use the code Drinking at Moe's, get 10% off, and the link and the code will both be in the description. Let's fucking go. All right, everybody, welcome to Drinking at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill by now. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff, because it helps with the pain in the ass YouTube algorithm. We're in most places on the audio side too. Leave a review there. Today, I'm excited to have with me a member of the Puerto Rican family, Kendrick Alma. How you doing?
Everything good, Mo? How y'all doing? How you doing?
Oh, I can't complain other than it being damn near below zero, if not below zero, outside right now up here in Nebraska. I think the little spot outside the window I have outside here in my basement, there must have been something open up top because there's a snow drift about halfway up the window.
Oh, wow. Yeah, right here in Texas is snowing, and for me, this is new to me. In Puerto Rico, there's no snow. It's
Yeah, I
always
was
hot.
gonna say.
Yeah, like right now, you can go to the beach at any time. You can go even at 3 in the morning, and it's still gonna be hot. So I'm still getting used to this.
Oh, but yeah, no, it definitely takes some getting used to. I was stationed with the Navy down in San Diego, and let's just say I got a little spoiled during my 4 years down there. So, weather-wise, I definitely got spoiled.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, it's part of everything. It's part of life. So now we're here in Texas. We're seeing snow, and we're trying to get away from it. So we're inside, so trying to stay warm.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was supposed to be going to a show this last Saturday, and I probably could have made it, but let's just say some of the roads on the way there were like just a thick sheet of ice, like nothing but ice on the roads. I was like, I'm just gonna go home.
Yeah, like yesterday happened the same thing to me. Like I remember last year when I came here, like I got here to Texas like a Saturday, uh, straight from Puerto Rico, and like I think Wednesday it was snowing, and I was like, "What is this?" Like like it was that changed just like that quick. I was like,
Oh, yeah. And hell, we talked before recording a little bit about football. There was uh, a meme I saw online because the Dolphins were coming up to Kansas City, which is a couple hours away from me, and they were saying during the game it was supposed to end up being the coldest game in NFL history. Like the temperatures were just below, and the meme was of the movie Cool Runnings when they were going up to Canada to go to the Olympics, and they got outside and it's just all yeah, and they're like the
yeah.
Dolphins getting into Kansas City, and I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much that's true.
Yeah. But first thing wrestling wise, I like to start off with everybody with is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make that leap into the business.
Okay, so in Puerto Rico, it's like religious, to watch wrestling on
Mm.
Saturdays, back then. Carlos Colon,
Mm.
Abdullah the Butcher, at that time, those years in the 80s and 90s, they were bringing like huge, superstars that,
Bruiser
like
Brody, one of my personal favorites.
Bruiser Brody. I watched and study a lot Bruiser Brody, to be honest. Greg the Hammer Valentine, Tony Atlas, Harley Race. Like the list just goes on and on. It's just so cool, to be part. Even though I was so little, my mom and dad will still take me, to the arenas and like my mom always tells me this story about how I was just a little baby. She had me on her arms, and Abdullah the Butcher just running next to her was Carlos Colon. So it's something that was in the family, to be honest. But I've always played baseball since I
Mm.
was 3 years old. So I didn't stop playing baseball probably till I was like 21, 22, the first time I came to Texas. So when I got back to Puerto Rico, like around 2018, 19, um, I had a neighbor who was like my brother now today, and he was interested in getting in the wrestling business. And my dad did some wrestling for some time, so I called him, hey, I got my neighbor that he wants to try it out. Um, See if you can give me some info, where we can train and stuff. And he told me, hey, can you let's just let's go vote to have that experience. I was like, at that time I wasn't playing baseball, I wasn't doing nothing, so I was like, yeah, let's go. I like it. It's not like I'm gonna be a wrestler. And man, I gotta say, first day it was like instant love. How you say, love at first sight. That's how they say it.
Yeah.
And yeah, after that, it was just, I went to training like every single day. We went from Monday to Friday, and we were always there, punctual at time, and we learned a lot. We did the referee stuff, we did the ring crew, we did everything. It wasn't like, we started right away. So, we pay our dues too.
Yeah.
And thankfully, today in Puerto Rico and here, like I've been able to, transfer my knowledge, how they teach me, to be a professional and everything. And has helped me a lot, during the way. So yeah.
No, I can imagine. Yeah. And before, well, I have something. I was just looking at my notes here that we'll go into that here in a minute. But another thing I like to ask is uh, in ring personas. Everybody has their story about how it came out. Sometimes with some people, the first couple of years, it's a bit of a feeling out process. They don't really know what that air quotes character is going to be, and then they slowly start finding out stuff that works. How did that come about for you?
So like I said, my dad, he was a wrestler. My dad had this gimmick, like he was like a lumberjack. He was a
Mm.
Puerto Rican lumberjack, even though we don't have lumberjacks in Puerto Rico, So and but it was really cool, He had the whole gimmick, with the shirt, the square shirts and everything. He had the axe and everything. But my dad also played baseball. He
Mm.
was a pro too in Puerto Rico. So a lot of people in baseball knew me because of my dad.
Mm.
Because of his history. How good he was in baseball. And then I didn't want to be in his shadow. You know what I mean? When I got into wrestling, like I didn't want to be lumberjack number two or lumberjack junior. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just trying to come out with this new persona, maybe, be myself at times 10.
Yeah.
So, and then, I started, doing the promos and in the bathroom mirror in my room, trying to figure
Yeah.
out what could I bring to this, to this organization that is giving me an opportunity. And is, they're really over. They've been over for more than 10 years. Like, a lot of superstars from there went to the big companies in Puerto Rico. So for them to, give me an opportunity, they see me since I was like 5, 6 years old too. And for them to see me and and appreciate my work, give me some advice and everything. That's how it all started, and it's been a process, building up still to this day. It's sometimes there's people who have that luck. They just out of the first one, they
Yeah.
they immediately find themselves in the ring. Like I feel I've done the same, but there's always time to get better.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
always
yeah.
gotta evolve. You can't stay the same way, like for 3, 4 years. So, I'm always thinking about constantly, evolving, character, persona, and everything all the time. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like, I've had this conversation many, many times. Is hell, just last week I recorded my 200th episode of this podcast. And
Congrats, man.
yeah,
Congrats. What's
when
up?
I found out how close I was, I'm like, oh man, that's just made me push even harder. But the conversation does come up that, you know, wrestling and training, it's an ever evolving process. You're always learning, you're always evolving because hell, some of the biggest names, especially here, mainland in the States, and I'm sure in Puerto Rico too, the some huge names have had that evolving process, and that just makes their career that much longer, it seems. So always evolving, always learning. It's something that I have become plainly aware of. And, even with this podcast, you know, I'll admit I'm my own worst critic. And I don't think, besides editing and putting episodes together after recording, I don't think I've watched any of them back because I'm just going to pick myself apart. But, you know, damn, I forgot where I was going. But, some of the earlier, oh, I remember now. Some of the earlier episodes, I'm like, I'm definitely not going to be watching them back because I, especially now, I'm like, oh God, did I sound like that? But through the process and, little tips and, hints here and there, I evolved how I've done the show. And I think I've found a pretty good rhythm. I was just having some people the other day telling me how they love my work. And I'm like, oh my God, that, like, you always hope and you hear different people, but then when somebody's actually physically telling it to you, it's like, oh wow, okay, I'm doing something right.
Sometimes, we're so concentrated in ourselves trying to get better that you don't see what other people see.
Yeah.
Like for example, like there's a lot of people that come up to me from here. I'm from Puerto Rico. Be like, hey man, like your work is incredible. Your work is really good. And like you said, like that helps us, keep the rhythm going, like you said. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm also my worst critic, but I think that's good because you push yourself to be better every time, even though that you did great, it wasn't great enough. There's
Yeah.
always the next time, and you can just, like I said, keep evolving. And like at first I didn't watch my matches neither, but I was like, you know what, I need to see them because like maybe I can see something that I can fix, and it really helped me. Like for example, like something like that is might be like really simple for a lot of people, but it's not. It's like how you walk and stand in the ring. Like I think that's something so important. Like how give that presentation of how you walk in the ring. You're not stumbling. You're stepping firm. So I think
Yeah.
that's where we both come from. And that's good. That's not bad.
Oh yeah. Those fundamentals can be very important. Like even the little things like that, how you're moving, how you're presenting yourself, definitely very important because makes you that much more believable. When when people are catching you constantly stumbling around and they're like, okay, this guy's a jobber,
Yeah.
that, that sort of thing.
True.
Now we talked a little bit about some of the history in Puerto Rico when it comes to wrestling, and going back to the days of Carlos Colon, Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher. They've been like, I've seen a ton of documentaries and stuff, probably way too damn many, according to maybe my wife. But anyways, Puerto Rico, I I'm hearing little bits that it's still kind of similar, but like back in the days of Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, and Tony Atlas, they were some bloody, brutal battles. And let's just say, if the fans didn't like you, they had some intense ways of showing it.
Yeah.
What has it been like, for you carrying on the tradition of, wrestling in with Puerto Rico? Because, like you said, it's a storied history. Like, people think of, some of the intense areas with wrestling. Puerto Rico, might not jump right off the board for some people, but when they really look into it, it's definitely one of those areas that, you know, if you can get through there, you're pretty much set.
Yeah, for example, back then in Puerto Rico, like I said, there was a lot of superstars that were already made. They had their names and everything. But also, back then, the territories will send these superstars to Puerto Rico so they can get ready. Like for example, Scott Hall was
Mm.
one of them that he got to Puerto Rico with his cowboy gimmick and
Yeah.
everything before he was, raised Ramon and all of that. Kane was another one too. I think if I'm not mistaken, am I correct? I think his name was Doomsday, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm wanting to say,
So
yeah, I'm wanting to say you're right.
correct. So there were all these big people, and future superstars that they will fly them to Puerto Rico and like you do a campaign there, and you're gonna learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then for us to carry that in the wrestling history, I think that is really important. That's why, when I came here the first time, to Texas, I was like, I gotta definitely represent Puerto Rico.
Oh,
I need to have this flag. I need to show, you know, even though it's a little different the style of wrestling maybe from Puerto Rico and the US, it's really similar at the end of the day because Puerto Rico over the years, we have a lot of superstars from the United States, from Mexico, from Japan, anywhere. So I think the base of Puerto Rico is pretty much all around. Like there's a
yeah.
little bit of Mexicans, there's a little bit of strong style, what they call in Japan. There's the entertainment part, the showbiz with the American style, and then also there's like the brutality and the violence of Puerto Ricans that was what a lot of people I know they grew up in the ECW era.
Yeah.
Before ECW was doing that, Puerto Rico was doing that 20
Oh,
years
yeah.
before, like it was uh like scaffold matches,
Mm.
ring with fire, like
The
all of
barbed
that,
wire stuff.
barbed wires, Puerto Rico was doing that way before of time. So, and just because Puerto Rico was such a violent crowd, like that's what made a lot of these superstars come over here and get over again and go back and get a better job, and be better superstars, and they got a better gimmick. They it all was right there on the timing line. Even though
But
Carlos Colon was coming up in his years, he can still main event and put a baseball stadium with 20,000 people. So it wasn't like, oh, we're there with it was really popping. Like it was
oh, yeah.
like wrestling was right there, with government status, doctors, lawyers, everything, at one time,
Oh,
television superstars.
oh
So
yeah.
I
And
know that.
oh,
Mhm.
go ahead.
I was about to say, like I know times have changed. There's been a lot of things that had happened, in the past. But I think there's still a lot of Puerto Rican fans, and even you can see in the United States, there's always a Puerto Rican somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Like
Oh,
we're
sure
everywhere.
are. Yeah. Like
Yeah, we're
today, especially some of the names that I have in one of my categories, I like to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. And for you, a lot of these guys, looking them up, they've all big names from Puerto Rico. They're either still there or, they branched out and are on national TV right now. So, yes, it is evident everywhere. You can end up seeing somebody representing Puerto Rico, definitely. And, oh,
we still see it to this day. With
oh, yeah.
Carlito. Carlito took a
Oh,
few
yeah.
years,
Just coming
and
back.
exactly, and even when he came back, people, oh, he looks better, because he
Yeah.
knows that whatever is left for him, he gotta finish his legacy, in a good standard. Even though he had a good run in WWE, like
Yeah.
he beat the John Cena in his first night. He became United States champion. He became Intercontinental champion the first night on Raw. He became the first undisputed tag team champions with Eddie Colon, at
Mm.
WrestleMania. There's so many things, and we can go way back to Pedro
Oh,
Morales, and
yeah.
all that, like Pedro Morales, Bruno Sammartino, like
Mm.
you can still, to this
Yeah.
day, people can still debate, man, those two,
Yep. Oh, hell. To
so
this day, you know, even current day, Puerto Rico, they've shown that, like, when big promotions from outside of the country come in, they show up. I mean, just evidence the last I believe it was the last backlash that they had in Puerto Rico. To this day, I still get chills from the Bad Bunny reaction when he came out, and everybody's word for word right along with this entrance song. And I'm like, whew, like I heard about it, but then when I actually went and watched it, I'm like,
another thing, yeah. I think I think right now Puerto Rico is in a good if I can say, in a good flow again of bringing wrestling where it's supposed to be. But to be honest, I've always say that that starts with the talent.
yeah,
I understand that you need a good promoter. You need somebody that financially is stably good. Let's be honest. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you put into it if the wrestlers are not giving the product that the people want. So, I think, after the pandemic, I think, we made a lot of like adjustments to, get a little bit of this new style, this rebranding, Puerto Rico, still with the original base, because the formula is still working. We just need to get this new fan base. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Because the old fan base, they probably like, oh, they want to see this big superstar, like I said, like Tony Atlas, um, Action Jackson, Steels. These guys are 6'5", 325 pounds. Like, we don't get too many wrestlers, like that these days. So I think it's in our best, to give them as much as close possible to it. But I don't want to be a hater, or I don't want to criticize, to be like, to say like that. But a lot of people don't understand that back then, you know, people wrestle Tuesday, Wednesday. They have the chance to wrestle 6 days a week every time for each year. So you get, like, even though if you wrestle 2 months, you have the same amount of matches that superstars today in the indies are having matches, out there. So they had the time, to work their body. They had the time for everything. I'm not saying it's an excuse, for us now, but the business changing so much. I think it has been a little bit even more difficult now. Now you got to be an influencer to be a wrestler. You know what I mean? You got to have your followers. Like you got to bring money to the company. You know what I'm saying? People need to
Yeah.
come and see you. If they don't see a business move with you, that will happen. Even though you can be great in the ring, but you're never gonna be in the main event. You may be a mid, you may be the starting.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away your how you say whatever in the ring, but you got to balance everything now. And I think going back to where we were talking about evolving characters and gimmicks and stuff like that, I think that's where every superstar wrestler should be, you know, under, trying to catch up every time. You can't lose a step right now because it evolves so fast. New stuff keep coming in, and then you stay in the back. So
Yeah.
keep you gotta keep doing.
Oh yeah. And
Wait,
go.
salud.
Oh yeah. I already drank all mine, but yeah. All right. But we kind of talked a little bit, with the history in Puerto Rico, and it being known for a good chunk of time as a bloody territory. And one of the matches, well, two of them actually, when I was looking up some stuff to put together notes, they kind of in a way carried over from there to here in these matches. There was, I believe it was ACW versus Loco in a Loco Rules match, and that sort of a match, it kind of fits right up my alley because I'm kind of, you know, I gravitate towards those intense matches, the intense personas. I mean, hell, two of I'm into death matches too, but kind of hidden back here, John Wayne Murdoch and Alex Colon, two of my absolute favorites right now. They're into the death matches, and I was seeing in this match, there were things like standard doors, but then there was ones that had like light tubes attached to it, and I'm like, even before they were getting used, I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be interesting. What was that match like for you?
Well, it was a really good match. To be honest, it was like my first main event in local wrestling. So um, it was a big opportunity, to, like I said, give that little taste of how we work in Puerto Rico. And I think during the match, we built a story that you could see whenever we were fighting, how we, connect those punches, how we make these people feel, you know, hate us, oh, these Puerto Ricans, and then, just be with their baby faces, which they were the tag team champs and the ACW champ, Derek and Austin, which they're really good dudes also, and they were pretty big too, like so they were tall guys, and I think that's something also, like for example, like in Puerto Rico, we're probably not that tall, we can be like a good 6 feet 6'1", but like they've always showed us that it doesn't matter how tall, it's the heart, and
Mm-hmm.
so every time that I go through these matches, I remember my first hardcore match, which was with my teacher from Puerto Rico, Mitchell Hardcore Demente is his name.
Mm.
um he didn't even tell me that we were having like a extreme match. He just laid out there, and we were like, so okay, so I guess I'm having a hardcore match today. So, and that match, like, it was so brutal. Like, he even took a saw and put it around my head and everything. He smashed a guitar in my head, kendo sticks, chairs, so many things. I was like, this is. I think this is something that I need to do because this is what I'm gonna represent when I'm going into these matches. And I think we did do that. We presented how we work in a way a little bit like more aggressive, like psycho, like we reached beyond our levels of angry, and yeah, I think it was a really good match. Like
It was.
I did things that I would never thought that I would done, like, but that's just what you're willing to do, to have a
Yeah.
good match, and for people to remember you, give them that detail, when they leave. Oh, this match, this and this happened. This is my favorite,
Yeah.
moment of the night. That's what
Oh
you
yeah.
want to give to the fans. So whenever they see you back, they might not remember your name. I always say this: they might not always remember your name, but they might remember you for something that you did, and that's the detail, so they can come back. So whenever they see you in a flyer, oh, that was the kid that did this. Oh, this is the
It,
guy that did this.
yeah.
So that's how you bring, and you create a fan base. And at local wrestling, I think we done it. We only been to local like 4 times. So I remember the first time we went there, we were not even in the original, how you say, we were the
It kind of
pre-show match.
okay.
I was a pre-show match, but still we gave a 6 minute match, and we made it turn on. We settle everything for the for the rest of the evening, and then we had the opportunity to be in the original,
The main
yeah,
card.
the main card, exactly. So like I said, from the pre-show to be on the card, to be then in the main event, and then have another main event with Savio Vega, I think
Okay.
it's been scaling up for
Yeah.
for local fans to be like, yeah, these people from Puerto Rico, they bring something different to the table.
Oh yeah, and I mean, hell, Texas in it of itself has a storied history with wrestling going back to the territory days. Back to the days of when Puerto Rico was having those bloody matches and those feuds and some crazy fans. Texas was having some hard fought stuff themselves. So, you're getting to kind of mix the history of both there, which is pretty cool. And yeah, the Demente one, I believe I did it. I don't know if it was that match in particular, but I do remember finding footage of a match with Demente on YouTube, and I'm like, okay, because yeah, it started off with a bang.
Yeah,
It was fun.
yeah, yeah. You can look up that. I think that's the first match that pops up even when you look it up, Kendrick Alma on YouTube. Um, and like I said, it wasn't planned. Like I knew that we was gonna wrestle, but I thought we was just gonna have a regular single match, But at the end of the day, that's his style. He been doing
Yeah.
wrestling for more than 20 years, and he has wrestled a lot of these people that been also superstars coming in. Like he wrestled the Generico,
Mm.
Sami Zayn. He wrestled, if I'm not mistaken, his name, I always forget his name. He was the one that trained John Cena. Um,
I'm trying
Stud,
to remember.
I think it's his last name. Stud, I think it
Oh,
is.
okay. Yeah,
You know,
I'm having a hard time remembering that off the top of my head. But
yeah,
yeah.
but he also had that experience, and in his promotion, he was a top guy just because of that. Like he was demente, he was crazy. Like
Yeah.
you can just see him when he gets from that curtain off, and he's just like this really different guy. Like, okay, I seem crazy, but this guy, paints himself different. Why he pulls his hair so much? Why he's so violent? Like, why he's so quick, even though he's little and a little chubby, in some sort of way. Like, and this is what brings that style. Like I said, from Puerto Rico. Like you look Carlos Colon, and it was the same thing. Carlos Colon wasn't that big, and he still, did some great battles. Invader #3, he's like 5'7". At one time, he was under the Giants tag team, So you gotta be that. You gotta be that good to Andre. Be like, yeah, I want to tag with him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So again, like I think at least for me and a lot of other wrestlers from Puerto Rico, we're really proud of our legends, our superstars, and the formula that they have done over the years, and pass it to us, and for us to just add details with this new millennium wrestling and stuff. So, like I said, it's just constantly trying to evolve and keeping up, but with the ascension of Puerto Rican style.
Oh yeah, and before we get into the categories, I was noticing it looked more like in the local rules match. You guys seem to be playing more the heel side. Do you prefer heel or the face? Because some people it don't matter. Some people love the heel reactions because some people have said that being the heel, at least for them, seems somewhat easier. Which side of the coin do you think you feel like if you have the choice, which I know sometimes you might not, which way do you feel you go on that?
It depends on the show, or, to be honest, because like for example, last few times that I've been to Puerto Rico, I've been babyface, but over here, I work mostly as a heel, especially when I started working a lot with Mexicans, so we have like this rivalry between Puerto Rico and Mexico that is forever. It's not only in wrestling, it's in boxing, it's in everything. So I think it was like not the easiest way, but in sort of way like to introduce ourselves to that crowd, which is totally different also from local wrestling fans and stuff. Um and yeah, we just need it, to, like I said, to give something to the people that never seen before.
Oh,
These guys are wild. Oh, these guys are violent. Oh, they do the trash talk and they can back it up in the ring. Oh, they go outside with the people and they say "chinga tu madre" or whatever. You know how the Mexicans say. You know what I'm saying? And we started building that until one day we realized that we were being chanted. Like Mexicans were chanting Puerto Rico. Mexicans were like, I remember like the first 2 3 shows, like nobody would take a picture with us. I can say in the fort, like there was a line of 20 people trying to take pictures with us. So it's like I said, it's something that is built little by little, and you gotta have patience.
yeah.
So like I enjoy being the heel a lot. Like I really enjoy it. But I also like, to be, I'm not gonna lie, I like being babyface as well, and we had that in Houston too, that we go as heels, and I don't know, we're 10 Puerto Ricans in this little corner over here, like scream, hey, Puerto Rico. And then it's like, I'm trying to do my job, I'm not trying to keep focus on you. Sorry, I need to be this heel right now. I need to be this bad person,
Yeah.
but I think in some sort of way is good, because you're still making a reaction out of the fans, and maybe that little group right there will contagious everybody around because okay, so what are they seeing that I don't see? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And especially at local wrestling, there's so many fans that know so much of wrestling that I've seen them that they sit down and maybe they're not cheering, maybe they're not talking, but they're so into the match that they're just seeing every detail that even though they're not reacting to it, they really are. And then when the match is over, when you hear the applause and you hear
Yeah.
that's it for me. That's like okay, they were there. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's a process. It's a process. Yeah.
Yeah. I can be a little bit that way when the IMAX shows myself. Yeah, I have those moments where I'm up and I'm reacting. I'm giving the bad guy shit. They're giving it back. But then I also have those times where there's a match and I'm just sitting back. I might be a little quiet, but I'm like literally observing the whole thing, how everybody's doing. So totally get it. All right. Now I have two categories here that I like to round stuff off with. First one's a bit of a name game. That thing that I told you that I like to theme it towards the guests as much as possible. And these guys also have that Puerto Rican heritage. First one that you kind of brought up a little bit ago, a guy that I definitely grew up watching during the Attitude Era. I'm talking about Savio Vega. Like, quick thoughts on the person.
I mean, when Fabio Vega finished his campaign in WWE in the 90s, early 2000s, um, he with other, promoters, Victor Quinones, he was in New Japan and he worked with WWE, Miguel Perez Jr., and a few others. They did this new company called IWA, which is still to this day,
Yeah.
which is Fabio Vega's his company. But back then, um, it was something like new, like it felt like WWE because they did brought the Jeff Hardys, the Edge, the Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero's, Kane. I remember the main event in my hometown. It was The Rock and Kane against the Dudley Boys. You know, so that was how big they were building this. So then when obviously when that was over, that WWE superstars were back to WWE, they still have a few of the local talent, which is now, for example, Mil Muertes, Ricky Banderas, El Messia, he was created there. Leon Apollo, he was in TNA when TNA started, like with Ron Killings and the Jeff Jarrett's, and he was feuding with Jeff Jarrett and stuff, and he had his WWE thing, Chicano, a lot of superstars that they were just the first and second match. But then when WWE superstars, they left, Savio created this whole new generation of new superstars. The IWA was so like so it was something stupid. There's no, I don't know. It might be the feeling that I get because I was born and raised with that. Even though Carlos Colon was the number one promotion at one time, you can debate like real hard that IWA was over Carlos Colon. That was how over they were. So man, and seeing all of that he created, then he put aside, his wrestling persona and started doing like he was the president, the CEO, the general manager, and now we see this bad Savio Vega, and now he's still Savio Vega. He's not even he's Uncle Savio Vega, and then he's telling all these people that you're idiots, that you're drug addicts, and people are like, "Yeah, we're your drug addicts." You know what I mean? Like you have never seen that nowhere. Yeah, we're your drug addicts. We're your idiots. How you say? Blessing Steel Savio. And Savio will keep talking. It was something like you'll be like, wow, like this is something so different. And man, like I said, he a legend. Like he a legend. He a legend.
Next guy, a guy I've actually had the pleasure of getting to meet twice now. I was having to remember, but he's done a couple shows up here in Omaha before going back to WWE. And he was a big part of that. One of those moments in that Backlash show. I'm talking about Carlito.
Carlito, for people who don't know their story, Carlito was a cameraman. Carlito was a cameraman and one of the greatest also in Puerto Rico. He's still wrestling to this day, Ray Gonzalez.
Mm.
He, he was the top guy in Puerto Rico at that time. Like he already beat Carlos Colon. Like he was the guy. He had that Bret Hart, Kurt Hennig own style. He was a mix of everything, but it was his own style. And he brought Carlito from, like I said, like being a cameraman to the ring. Carlito was wrestling in jeans and a little tank top. You know what I mean? Like, so seeing that, and then the complete transformation of this Afro, and being a cool guy, it's like wow, and for me, I think I may be wrong, but I think Carlito has had one of the best WWE runs that a Latino can have. So
Right up there. I would have to agree. It's definitely at the very least been right up there with top.
he has a lot of good. He's not, I wouldn't compare it with Alberto Del Rio, with everything that Alberto Del Rio did. But I think still Carlito had so many moments. Still to this day, he can just cut a promo and just say that's not cool, and people laugh at it and they'll remember that promo for
Yeah.
that, that's what it's all about. It's about
Oh
creating
yeah.
moments. So I think he has a lot of moments, that he can share.
Oh, definitely. Next one, a guy that looks like he's poised to be making kind of a big deal coming up. Seeing your money in the bank, Damian Priest.
Hey, Daniel Freeze is, one of those guys that, to be honest, like I look up his story and it's inspiring, the transformation he has done from his gimmicks of, where he's at now. That he's like you can see I think it was something Hernandez, I think it was his name, something like that. It doesn't I can't remember right now, but even though you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
totally different guy now. Like his body, how he wrestles, how he presents himself, how he
Mm-hmm.
talks. He can do the Spanish and he can do the English. So,
Yeah.
it's he's a really talented guy that I think it's just a matter of time. That it will be his moment to be at the main events.
Oh yeah, and hell, I mean, it's getting rumored here. You know, he's got that briefcase. He could be cashing it in anytime now. So who knows? Last but not least here, somebody that I was happy for them when they had their moment in the spotlight at that Puerto Rico Backlash show, Zelina Vega.
Yeah, Selena Vega, I think it's one of those superstars that when she really has a chance to demonstrate like where she's from, she'll do the whole thing. I mean, when I saw her match at Backlash, I think I can talk for everybody. I think that everybody will remember that match in Puerto Rico at least, because when she got out with that Puerto Rican flag, like
Yeah.
it, like I saw that and I was like, wow, like it looked like it was a carnival from Puerto Rico, and the carnivals they do that, they do the flags of Puerto Rico or their city, and I saw that and I was like, wow, like this is like being in a carnival in Puerto Rico. And then she went to her mom and she got the chancla, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and she made the people believe at least for a few minutes that she can pull this off, that she can beat Rhea Ripley, which is like on her way to being maybe the greatest women's wrestler of all time. So
Yeah.
it was something like it really put that sauce, let's say like that, she put that Puerto Rican sauce right there, like she just introduced a little bit, and people were really caught their attention how she was also performing, and also how she cried and everything. You know, it was really
Yeah, that
emotional too. Like,
reaction that she had when she was getting out there and the whole crowd, their reaction and her reaction to that. Oh man, that was something.
and again, that's how that's like I said, is how we are. We are proud of our people and their whatever they do in life. Like I don't know if you know a little bit about boxing. Tito Trinidad, right?
Mm,
Whenever Tito was at his peak, like they will wait for him at the airport. There'll be thousands of cars in the airport, like to do this parade for him. That's how proud we are of our people, and then represented us in the level status of WWE. Same in NBA with JJ Barea
mm,
and the Mavs, and they beat the team that nobody thought that was gonna beat the Miami Heat. By that time,
mm.
LeBron James, D-Wade, Bush, and Barres 5'7". He's scoring 25 a game. It's like, like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's a matter of heart, and hard work, and like I said, we really appreciate those moments. I think a lot of people they wait till people are almost past their prime, and he's almost gonna retire to realize how good they were at their job. So I think we are all different. Like, no, we gotta take this moment and say thank you at this moment because this is your moment now. So yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I can definitely respect that. And that's awesome. When people go out there and they're showing their support, not so much when they're kind of walking out of the spotlight, but while they're still in there and still going, getting that home pride feeling is definitely something that I can only imagine is an unforgettable experience.
It was. I think that pay-per-view will live on forever as one
Oh
of the
yeah.
best pay-per-views in WWE because the reaction was from start to finish. It was
Oh, totally. Yeah, they were. It was something to see, were the lack of a better way to put it. Definitely. All right, now I have some random questions. Some might be wrestling related, some might not be. Some might have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about so far. Keeping it random. Although there are some questions that people that have listened to the show might know that I keep them in here because, like this first one, I love the stories that come from it, and I've heard some doozies. Craziest in match moment for you?
wow. Um, I would have to say that first hardcore match with my teacher with Mitchell Demente. Um, like going into that match, I knew I was wrestling, my teacher, but at that time he wasn't my teacher. He's Demente, and this guy really lives that. You know what I'm saying? And he
Yeah.
and he is like that in real life. It's just that he just humble a little bit himself when he's training. But man, when I saw him take that a saw, I was oh, he has a saw in his hand. What's gonna happen? And he put that saw in my forehead. I was like, oh my God. So for me, that was really crazy. Like, and still to this day, I get a lot of people telling me, like, I don't know how y'all did that, this and that. And I'm like, me neither. That was something crazy for me, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to meet some people that I've seen have some crazy moments, and people that I've had on the show. And like I said, that's why I keep it in here, because I love hearing the stories behind it. From, like, I believe it was Lloyd Anawai told me about back in the original ECW, him having a match against New Jack, and they were told specifically not to damage anything that, like, is going to stay in the venue. And then they end up going through a wall. and Paul Heyman starts yelling at him after the match. Or what's another good one? One that I actually witnessed and I've had the guy on was my first ever legit death match. And it ended by them taking 4 folding chairs and bridging 2 panes of glass on them. And then a guy, ringside guy's buddy manager, rolls in and I see him pull out lighter fluid from his pocket and they lit the glass on fire. Little crazy stuff like that. It's just like, I remember being third row for that and just my jaw practically being on the floor, like, holy shit.
Like that's like the new. I mean, that match has always been like that, but I feel like this era is they use more of that glasses, the I always forget the word for the light tubes,
Like, yeah.
light tubes and all that. So I'm ready. I think I feel ready for that. It's not like I want to do that matches all the time, but I feel like I could definitely like I said, bring my style into that match style and make something really cool out of it.
Oh,
So
I can imagine. And yeah, I can understand, not just wanting to go and, right away jump into like a big death match tournament, but having a match or two here and there, I can understand. All right. Now, this one, I like to explain it like, you know, people I've heard say when, big lottery jackpots, like, oh, you'd never be able to spend all that money. I'm like, watch me. And the thing with it is, it's so much money that you'd have what I like to call fuck it money. Like something that you never would have been able to think about affording before. But now you have it. So you're like, fuck it. I'm going to go out and buy it. What is one of the first things you would get if you had fuck it money?
uh, so to be honest, I would think it's just I don't know. I'm a really simple guy. I had to say maybe buy a house for me, my mom, my dad. It's
Hmm?
I've always say if I had that fucking money, I'll like build a fucking tower and give an apartment to everybody, each of my friends, so they don't have to worry about it. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about that. Like, hey, if I ever make it, it's not about having a Lambo or having a
Yeah.
Ferrari. Like I'll stay with my car. I'll stay
Mm.
with my Maxima or I'll stay with a Jeep or whatever. I don't know. It's just how I think. Like I really prefer to.
Sensible choices.
I really prefer to invest that money, at my friends and my brothers. Hey, what you want to do? You want to open a business? Open your business. You know what I'm saying? What you're doing? Oh, you want to do a food truck? All right, I'll pay for everything. Just whenever I go over there,
Yeah.
you just give me some food. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's I've always thought that way, when it comes to big money. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm lying, maybe whenever I get that money, I'll go crazy, because you never know. but
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
at least, for me, I've always think that way. Like, I want to take care of my brothers. I want to take care of, my friends. I want to take care of even their families, like
Oh yeah.
that's really important to me. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Important to me too. I want to make sure those that I care about have at least some level of security with them. But then, yeah, I'll admit I'd probably go do at least one thing fun, fun and
Yeah,
crazy, just
no,
because
exactly.
it's
Like,
like, oh hell, I'd never be
I,
able to do it before.
Exactly. I would do the same. I'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna rent this venue. I'm gonna do a Bad Bunny concert only for my friends. You know, like spend $1 million in a Bad Bunny presentation just for us. Like
Yeah.
nobody else is gonna be there. Bad Bunny's gonna be for us only. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll do something random like that. I feel you. I feel you.
All right. Now, this one, people go, they prefer one or the other. My wife and I, we actually have both. We have both dogs and cats. We actually help out with a bulldog rescue. And, like I said, some people are more dog people, some people are more cat people. What way do you go, dog or cat?
Yeah. I'm a dog person. Like cats.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
cats. Cats
My,
are cats. For me, cats are two-faced. You know what I mean?
they can be.
They can be. So like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I totally understand you there. Yeah. My wife and I, like I said, we have three cats. One seems to just be absolutely smitten with me. Like I'm laying in bed, it'll come and like use my beard as a pillow. And I'm just like, and then it'll start getting comfortable and like the claws will kind of dig into my shirt, but it'll dig like a little too far. I'm like, ow, and I'll just shove the cat off me.
Yeah,
And
I feel
then
you. I feel you.
we our resident bulldog, we have an English bulldog, and he's a big old boy. And then we actually have a foster French bulldog with us right now, and I do myself lean more towards dog because I think it's more for me when I was growing up until, good Lord, I'm trying to remember when the hell this was, but I was like in college. My dad would not let us have a dog. So it was always cats. And I always wanted a dog. So then that led me to be more of a dog person, I guess.
I feel you. In my house, they didn't even let me like, not even a fish. Like my mom didn't like pets, so I don't know. Like going back to that question from the fucking money, like I would have bought a monkey. Like some
Mm,
I would buy a
okay.
monkey. Like, like I don't know why, but I always had this like I love monkeys and some
Oh, yeah.
chimpanzees and like I would buy like a monkey, so
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of those little, like, you'd never before would have, but then, you got the money to be able to do it. Yeah. Yeah. A monkey would be cool. I do like monkeys. Now, me, behind me, one of my hobbies, Funko Pops, wrestling figures, Ninja Turtles, all sorts of stuff I like to collect, some hobbies of mine. What is a hobby that you have, if any? Because I know some people just don't.
Yeah, but like I said, baseball. I always played baseball my whole life. Since I was 3 years old. I played in Puerto Rico until class eight. I was gonna go to double A, but then, like I said, I came here to Texas and stuff, and then after that, it just, it became from a passion to a hobby.
Mm.
So, and then it went vice versa in wrestling from a hobby now to my passion. And yeah, baseball, music. To be honest, like I like to write music as well. I haven't done it lately, because I'm always busy and stuff. But I think between music and baseball, I think are one or two things that I can just sit down and watch a little bit and
Oh,
relax and yeah.
oh yeah. No, but when it comes to sports, I'm, you know, football and baseball, you know, big Padres fan ever since the days of like Tony Gwynn, Trevor Hoffman, and those guys. Tony Gwynn, my all-time favorite.
Probably one of the best batters up there with Pete Rose.
Yeah, and when I was in the Navy and I got stationed in San Diego, I don't know what I was more excited about, but I pretty sure that it was just the fact of being in San Diego and literally getting to go as many times as I wanted during the season, because there was a trolley stop across the street from base, and then the line went all the way till like a couple blocks away from the stadium. So a handful of times I just hop on there, boom, go on down. And oh man, yep. Baseball, I I like to, like I said, collect different stuff. I got some Padres stuff. Football, I'm, pro football, I'm a big cheesehead, big Packers guy. I actually last January got to go to my first ever game up at Lambeau Field. And I got some mementos from my time up there, like my Reggie White bobblehead. Like Reggie White, like my absolute favorite Packer. Like when I was playing football, modeled myself after him. And, I saw that laying there. And then, I got a game day program. And it's funny for me, thinking back on the game, because little did I know that it was going to be Aaron Rodgers' last as a Packer.
Okay.
So like that
to witness that last game.
Yeah, I was there, and so that game day program, I'm like, I'm gonna like that thing is getting safeguarded.
Yeah, no, for real, yeah. And you got
Little,
it, so that's cool. That's cool.
oh yeah, I had to get something because I'm like, I was at the time 39, and I remember I posted about this because I remember saying that damn near 40 years, and I was at a point where I didn't think I was ever going to be there. And to actually be there, it was just like people say certain moments are good for the soul. That one right there was good for mine.
I feel the same way every time I go to MLB game. Like I still remember the first time I went to a MLB game. It was in New York. I went to Yankee Stadium. I even remember they were playing the Orioles. I remember David Cohn was pitching that day. I'm talking about Yankees team like Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill. I think
Ah, yeah.
Daryl Strawberry was still playing with them. Scott Brosius. I can name you the whole team. I was such a fan back then of the Yankees, and I remember going to that game, and the Yankees were losing like 7-0, and we left at the eighth inning. I remember because we were like, you know what, let's go ahead, because we got to catch the train and stuff.
Yeah.
And when we got to the house, the Yankees did 6 runs in the ninth inning. They
Pulled
end up
it.
losing.
Yeah. Oh man.
They end up losing 7-6 still.
Okay, a
But
little closer than that damn near blowout. Yeah. Okay.
but I
Yeah.
was like, we left, and that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see them, bat and start running, and then I seen the TV, Bernie Williams double, and I'm like, oh, I missed that. You know what I'm saying? I did saw him, do a really nice catch. That's what I wanted to see. I was a big Bernie Williams fan, and
No,
I just want,
good,
I just,
good one.
I just, I just wanted him to see him die for a catch or something. And I remember they hit a fly and he slid and everything. I was like, oh, okay, I can go now. Like I can live this with this the rest of my life too. And also,
Oh,
last year I had this experience to go to the World Baseball Classic in Miami.
ooh,
Such a different experience from MLB. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's more, your country against somebody else. That
yeah.
feeling and the atmosphere. I think that was probably one of the best. Like you said, that was the moment that was good for the soul.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
felt like I screamed the whole game. Like I felt every time I screamed, I was gonna get dizzy and I was gonna how you say fall. It was such a good time, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine. I know I've been to my fair share of MLB games. Kansas City's not too far away. That's a fun one, fun atmosphere. Been to, well, they got a new stadium now, but I've been to one in St. Louis. Been to, one for the White Sox. Plenty down at Petco Park. I remember thinking one time that, one moment that I'll always remember, you know, I had only up until then ever seen like on Sports Center highlights of those bench clearing brawls and stuff. Like something happens, a hard tag, whatever. And then I'm sitting out in left field, and all of a sudden, you know, diving into third, and all of a sudden I see the bench is going, and then the bullpen's going, and I'm thinking the people next to me were probably thinking I was nuts because I'm standing up like, yeah, getting to
Yeah,
see like my first ever one that I'm like in person for was a moment that is just, I
I got
actually last season got to see my Padres here in Kansas City. I didn't know it at the time, but my wife had surprised me with tickets. Like she was telling me we were going to brunch. And then when we didn't make the turn to go to where we were going, I'm like, weren't we supposed to? And then she's like, look in the glove box. She had a Padres shirt in there for me, and she's like, we're going to the game. I'm like, what?
that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I got to witness one of those brawls in Tampa Bay. I
Mm.
went also to the Tampa Bay Park. I've been like 2 or 3 times to Tampa Bay Park, and yeah, actually, you know what? Now that I remember, I lied to you. My first game was in Tampa Bay. My
Oh,
second game was New York because now that I remember that Tampa Bay game, they were playing the Rangers, and
oh,
and this was when Paz Rodriguez was still playing and Juaniger
ah,
Gonzalez. It was such a long that I even forgot about. Not forgot about it. It just slipped my mind. And I remember when we got to the house, my grandma and grandpa was like, "Oh, we saw you on TV. You were dancing." And I don't know if you've seen that meme of the little kid that does with his shirt like this.
yeah,
And I think I was doing that same thing. Like before he did it, I did it the first time because they told me you were dancing and doing all this. I was like, oh, but a really good time
nice.
too.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? You bring I didn't actually get to go to a game there, but before they tore it down to build the new one, I was actually in New York City with my dad, and we were just thinking it was. I think they were on a road trip at the time, but we were just like, we just want to go up, walk around, seeing, that we saw the place. And then the security guy peeks out of one of the doors as we're walking by and asking us where we were from. And then all of a sudden, we're getting a mini tour of the stadium. Like I'm out on the field in the dugout. We got a free poster and stuff. So like I got to experience being there, just not so much during a game, which I mean would have been cool. But hey, I got what I got.
Exactly. Yeah. At least you were there. Yeah.
Totally. All right. Now, with the name of a show like I have, I feel like I pretty much have to keep this question in here. Although I do take it out when, I have somebody that's like under 21. Favorite drink, whether it be alcoholic or non, or hell, one of each if you want.
Well, at least like alcohol wise, like beers, like I like those Ekis since I got here. I don't know why. Like I like the Dos Equis. I
That's a
prefer
good one for me. I love that.
I prefer draft beers also. Like I really like draft beers. And then I wasn't a whiskey guy, but now I am a whiskey guy. Like in Puerto Rico is more like alcohol, like just straight rum. But
Yeah, I was gonna say rum. I thought. For some reason, I had in my mind possibly tequila in the mix there.
Yeah, like we got our own rum. It's called Donku. You know, there's a lot of flavors of it, which I drink for tons of years in Puerto Rico. So, whenever I got here, like, oh, we don't have rum. It's either vodka, tequila, or whiskey. And I'm like,
Mm,
well, okay, let's start drinking Hennessy and Crown Royal and
there's
um,
some good ones. There's some good
white,
ones.
white Hennessy also, which is really good. Cognac also. And then before I left Puerto Rico, I had a server job and bartender job also. So I started getting a little bit into red wine too, like Cabernet Sauvignons and stuff like that, Merlot blends.
Mm,
So I'm a little bit more now into wine that I was more with beer and rum and all that back in the day. Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, I've never really been too much into wine, but I'm like, hell, if somebody's, you know, we're at dinner at somebody's house and they're serving up wine for people, I'm like, ah, hell, that's what you're serving. I'll drink it.
Exactly.
All right. Now, last but not least, best advice you have for anybody wanting to get into wrestling.
Hmm. So I would say you gotta have like a real conversation with yourself about what you're gonna get into. Because there's a lot of people who try to go to train and they just train because, or like nowadays it's all right, but back in the days, like nobody had the opportunity to go train unless if you were really gonna do it.
Yeah.
So I think it's more, talk to yourself whether you really want to do this or not. And if you're willing to do everything what it takes to perform at the level that you as a fan, appreciate. It's not fair that, just because you're a fan or you want to try to do something, you do it however, because then, you are literally being a part of a problem that, a lot of people don't understand that it's something serious that affects a lot of people that really put hard work to it, sacrifice. They sacrifice their body, their time, their schedules, their family, holidays, everything. And,
Yeah.
that's, where everything starts. And I think that's why, myself, I try to keep always as serious as possible. Like people be like, "Oh, like yeah, you wrestle for hobby," and like, no, this is not a hobby. This is my job. Like this is my job. Like I take it really serious. Yeah, we can maybe laugh at a few things, but I prefer not to laugh about wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Unless if like it's a good moment or something like that, because people die every
Yeah.
year because they took a
Yeah.
bump. They just took a bump or they got a real uh chop and the heart stopped for a minute or a few seconds. They almost died because of chop. Or something like that. Like people really don't know how serious this business is. And uh, quick story. When I started practicing and training, I remember I was always on the mat. I was always trying to do wrestling, like techniques, chain wrestling. And I remember one of the veterans told me like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? You trying to make love to each other in the ring?" And obviously, they always teach us, to respect your elders and stuff like that. But I got so mad. I was like, well, why you criticize me? And why are you saying that? Why don't you, instead of saying that, tell me, hey, you're doing this wrong and teach me. Don't tell me that I'm making love, like, because I'm not making love. I'm trying to fucking train, sorry for the language, I'm
Yeah. You're
like,
good.
don't, how you say, underappreciate me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to do this So you can then look at me and be like, you know what, I'm proud of that guy because I remember when I told him that he was making love and now he's not making love. Now he's making wrestlers tap out for real. You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying?
Oh,
So
I can understand.
so like I say, just really have a conversation with yourself, if you really want to be in this, and give it all. It's a lot of more sacrifice and things that you got to give to the business that the business is going to give you.
Oh yeah. No, people don't realize sometimes, hell, Rey Mysterio, a guy died in the ring with him, not like, well, a few years ago now. But then yeah, also a good point of, the way I was taking it when you're talking, you know, doing stuff in the ring that if you're on the other side of the guardrail, you would be cheering for. So because that way, you know what? I know a lot of people out there as fans like me that would love this. So you go and you're doing that because you hell, if I'm loving it, I know there's people out there like me that'll love it too.
Wrestling is for the people. Wrestling is
Mm-hmm.
not for yourself. A lot of people wrestle for themselves because, oh, that was such a cool movie. Do you see the move that I did this past show? Like, no, nobody saw your move because it didn't matter at the time that you did it because you didn't gave that you didn't introduce to that fan how important that move was gonna be when you
Yeah.
applied it. You
Yeah.
know why? Because you were like, I don't have nothing against wrestlers that do what they call the flippity stuff, but there's a lot of wrestlers who do flippity stuff. They put logic to it, and, so,
Yeah.
and they give logic to the match. So give the fans what you want, but it's not like, oh, you just want me to to break a light too. Okay, what are you gonna do after that? You still
Yeah.
got 15 more minutes for your match, or 20 minutes. The match is only 2 minutes and you already cracking the head like three light tubes. Okay, so what are you gonna do next? You're gonna jump off the roof? What's the move that's gonna be better than that moment? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and with Savio, when I wrestled Savio, we wanted to do a lot of things, but there were a few matches that that they already had the light tubes, they already have the tables, and we was like, so why are we gonna do the same thing? You
Yeah.
know, like it would be cool. We got a table or a light tube, but at the end of the day, we can still do a great match without using none of it. And I think that's what we got to the people, and like I said, the people understand, and I was really proud because in Houston we got to hear that Puerto Rican chant, that whoa, 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 and that moment right there. I think that's the highlight moment of my career, and I don't know. I don't know. Like, I hope so. I hope that there's something better, but at the moment, there's nothing better than that moment for me. Yeah.
Oh, I can understand. You hope that someday you have something to beat it, but as of right now, that's like there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the highlight. Like, that's the highlight of my career right now. Yeah.
Oh, I can totally understand. Now, before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
Yeah, Facebook, Kendrick Alma, just like that. You can find me on Facebook. I got my personal page. I got my fan page as well, and then in Instagram, Kendrick Alma 93 as well. So you can find me on those two platforms. In the threads also too, Kendrick Alma 93, and we're gonna start working this year with YouTube channels, TikTok, and all those new apps and stuff. Like I said, I'm not into that, to be
Yeah.
honest. But like I said, we gotta keep up. There's a lot of fan base on TikToks, and it's good for promotions and promoting yourself with
Yeah.
videos and stuff like that. Same as YouTube. So yeah, y'all can find me, catch me there anytime.
Definitely. We'll get all that in the description. Well, that is about all I have. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight. And best of luck out there. We're new into the year. Best of luck out there with everything you got coming up in 2024 and beyond.
I appreciate it, Mo. Thank you very much. Everybody, like, subscribe, share, drinking at Mo's. I appreciate it. I had a really fun time with you, man. So, man, let's see when we do the next one, man. I'll be
Yeah.
waiting.
Oh yeah. Like I try to tell people that I have on, you're welcome back anytime. We'll figure out a time we'll get you back on there.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it, man.
Thank you.